I wasn't set up to reply all. So. But I did. I thanked you for
Guys,
sharing
it's
that.
7 o'clock. Are we ready?
Hi, how are you?
How you doing?
Doing good.
Good? Okay.
Good.
Give me a few minutes after the meeting.
Yeah, for you, absolutely.
Heather, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Good evening. It's 7 o'clock. We'll call the City Council meeting of May 13th to order. Start with the flag salute, which Councilor Wilk, will you please lead us in?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May we have a roll call, please?
Counselor Cornwell,
Present.
Counselor Cabrales,
Here.
Counselor Schaub,
Here.
Counselor Wilk,
Here.
Counselor Cantu,
Here.
Counselor Morris, Mayor Lonergan.
Here. And we haven't heard anything from Councilor Morris?
I haven't, no.
He's not, doesn't look like he's online. Okay, maybe he'll join us online. So we do have several announcements to make, so bear with me and I will cover these. The first one actually is not written down here, but it actually have two. One, today being the year of our Lord 2024, May 13th, happens to be Renata Wakely's birthday.
Whoa.
Renata, happy birthday. Behalf of the city, you're welcome.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
May it please go on the record. 29. The Woodburn Police Department invites us all to their public open house May 18th from 11 to 2 o'clock with a lot of fun activities going on. I still challenge the council to be able to outrun the canines, so see how well trained they are. Barbecue, tour of the facility. I think it's going to be a good time. City Hall, the library, and the transit system will be closed Monday, Memorial Day, May 27th, in observance of Memorial Day. However, the Aquatic Center will be open. But since we're closing City Hall, the library, and transit, we also are not going to have a city council meeting that night. So this is the only council meeting for the month of May. Our next council meeting will be June 9th, I believe.
June 10th.
June 10th?
10th, right?
Okay. Moving into July, the City Council meeting is having a community barbecue scheduled to take place on Tuesday, July 9th to coincide with music in the park, which will be over in Library Park. Be at 6 o'clock, July 9th. We'll be hearing more about that.
Oh, no, they're two different months. My bad.
We do have elections coming up in November 5th. There are 4 open positions for the council and mayor here. The mayor has a 2-year position at large. Anyone in the city is liable to run if you're good standing voting wise. Councilor Ward 1, Precinct 815 is open. Councilor Ward 2, Precinct 825 will be open, and Councilor Ward 6, Precinct 865. Those 3 are all 4-year terms. Invite anybody to give our city recorder a message or call for help in what it'll take to fill out the proper paperwork and get registered and legal to run in November. We are having a community center open house. Please mark your calendars. June 6th at 6 o'clock here at City Hall. We're having a open house describing the community center, what we're looking forward to putting down at Settlemyre Park, and what it'll take to pass a bond come November. So we're inviting anyone in the city to come down, share questions. We will have some seasoned, intelligent people here to respond and help, and also try and provide a tour down at Settlemyre, going through the pool, the aquatic center, to show what we're looking at. So again, I invite the city to come out in force, please. So, moving on. I have a proclamation. Next week is a National Travel and Tourism Week, from May 19th to May 25th. So whereas the travel and tourism industry is and continues to be an essential contributor to Woodburn's economy, development, and workforce. And whereas travel is an economic powerhouse for every state and destination across the country, with an economic output of $2.8 trillion, supporting 15 million American jobs. And whereas travel spending supports vibrant and safe communities in Oregon and across the United States by generating $89 billion in state and local tax revenue in 2023 to support essential services such as education, emergency response, public safety, and more. And whereas travel enables success for all industries, including manufacturing, agricultural, defense, healthcare, and more, by driving sales, growth, innovation, education, and operations that power our economy, our nation, Oregon, and Woodburn. And whereas America's travel industry cannot be globally competitive without maximizing growth in leisure, business, and international inbound travelers, increasing travel to and within the United States drives our economy to a more prosperous future and connects America. And whereas small businesses account for more than 60% of leisure and hospitality employment. And whereas travel is an essential industry and we must continue to communicate that growing travel leads to economic growth, benefits businesses, fosters mutual understanding, and connects a nation. And now, therefore, I, Frank Lonergan, Mayor of Woodburn, do hereby proclaim May 19th to the 25th, 2024, Travel and Tourism Week in Woodburn, Oregon, and urge the citizens of Woodburn to join me in recognizing the essential role this industry plays in Woodburn and throughout Oregon. Thank you. So, next up, we have a couple presentations. First one from our quarterly investment report from PFM. We'll welcome Tony Turley. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Tony Turley, Finance Director for the record. You know, as we entered into a few years ago an investment strategy for the city, it's important that we're transparent and accountable for the investment of the public funds. And so we've done this quarterly report now for about a year and a half. And it's an honor to have Lauren here to present to us. She gives us an economic update and talks about our performance compared to the benchmarks. So I will introduce Lauren Brandt and have her give our quarterly investment report. And I'm here to answer questions if there are any.
Thank you. Good evening, Lauren.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you, and I look forward to seeing you at the August meeting in person. I will point you to page 5 of your packet, and I will go ahead and share my screen if that makes sense. And as Tony mentioned, I will give a brief overview of what transpired in the economy, because that will provide a good backdrop for how we managed the portion of the portfolio that we invest on the city's behalf. As a reminder, all the funds that we invest on your behalf are in high quality fixed income securities for your operating fund investments. So looking back over the last, well, since the start of the calendar year here, there's been a couple of themes in the economy. And the first one being that we've continued to see very robust growth. So the economy has been showing surprising signs of strength. For example, the gross domestic product, which is the measure of all goods and services in the economy, it was at 3.4% for the fourth calendar quarter of 2023. And that was supported by very strong consumer spending. The other big, and I think I mentioned this for the last 3 or 4 meetings, the other big news has been around inflation. Inflation is sticking around much longer than the market and the Federal Reserve had anticipated. and remains above the Federal Reserve's target inflation rate of 2%. I'm showing here at the bottom of the page, looking at, still on page 5, inflation and prices as measured by the Consumer Price Index was about 3.2% in February. That started to tick higher to 3.5% in March. So there is some concern by the Federal Reserve as well as the markets. And when I say the markets, I mean the fixed income markets like U.S. Treasury markets, as well as equity markets. For example, the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500. So with this higher inflation than expected, we're starting to see the Federal Reserve back off from stating that it will lower its overnight rate in the future. For the last 6 to 9 months, we've had an overnight Fed funds rate at 5.25% to 5.5%. Which of course contributes to the borrowing rates we see, be it for automobiles, be it your mortgage payment for anyone in the market for a new home. Those are all elevated because we have a high overnight rate as established by the Federal Reserve. At the start of the year, when inflation was starting to tick lower, there was an expectation we might see 1% to 1.5% lower Fed funds rate by the end of 2024. Because we've seen this persistent strength in the economy, that expectation has been lowered, and we may only see the Federal Reserve lower that Fed funds rate by about 0.5% through the end of the year. Need I remind you, as the mayor mentioned as well for the city council, but this is also a year for national and federal elections, and so the Federal Reserve is very cautious about making any moves during a year where we're going to see voting at the highest levels in terms of the highest seats in the country. So it'll be interesting to see how things proceed from here. But what it has translated into, this economic information, is higher interest rates and higher yields on U.S. Treasuries, which is the largest sector of fixed income securities that we own on the city's behalf. So U.S. Treasury yields, you can see in this lower left-hand corner, this table here, yields on U.S. Treasuries started to trend higher than the end of the year. So 2023, December 2023, we see that 3-month Treasury bill at 5.34%, a little higher at the end of March, but where you really see a difference is in the 2-year and 5-year U.S. Treasuries, 4.25% to 4.6%. So an increase of about 0.4% in just the last 3 months. The good news on that is that we are able to, with new money or any maturities in the city's portfolio, able to buy in and lock in at these higher levels. So I'm going to fast forward us to page 11 of your packet. So we look at the city's portfolio, at least the portion that we invest on your behalf. And you can see here that in the upper right-hand corner, I'll show this pie chart first. Having lots of different colors is a good thing, shows diversification of the portfolio. As I mentioned, U.S. Treasuries are the dominant sector in your portfolio, about 65%. And the remainder in federal agencies, also a government security. And then we also have some commercial paper, which is a short-term corporate obligation, and some medium-term high-quality corporate notes as well. Very high quality on the lower left-hand side, looking at this pie chart here. And also we invest out to about the 3-year area, so you can see from 0 to 3 years for the city's portfolio in blue, and we invest it relative to a benchmark, which is the 0 to 3 year Treasury index, as noted in gray. I'm going to point out just a couple of numbers here up in the upper left-hand corner. As I mentioned, we only invest a portion on behalf of the city, and that represents, from a market value standpoint, of about $51 million at the end of March. The other two things that I will point out here is the yield at cost and yield at market. So you can see the yield or average yield on all of the holdings in the portfolio is close to 5%. Very solid rate, especially when you harken back to 4 or 5 years ago when we would barely get 0.2% on a 2-year treasury. So a strong earnings rate for the city in this portion of its portfolio. And the last page, or the last 2 pages, I'll show you is the diversification of the city's holdings as well. So I mentioned commercial paper and corporate notes, but I did want to show you, you can see the high quality issuers that are represented here. So these are debt obligations. They're not equities or holdings in stocks. These are debt obligations of these relative corporations. And again, with very, very high credit quality. I will pause my comments and see if there are any questions.
Are there any questions from the council?
I would also like to point out that in addition to the 51 million or so that we have with PFM, we also have an additional 40 million in the LGIP. So in total, we have a little over 90 million in investments for city funds.
Is that all long-range plans or short-range?
So the LGIP is very short range. It's really our operating operating investments. We can get that money in 2 days. And so we manage that. We manage our cash flow needs with that for the most part. The 51 million is where we can go a little bit longer and get those additional gains. Right now, the return on the LGIP is about the same as what we're getting here. So it's a good balance to have.
Good, thank you. Okay. Lauren, anything else?
That's all on my side. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I look forward to seeing you in August.
Okay, thank you very much. Tony, you have any concerns? Is it all looking good for you for the next several months?
You know that it's looking good. There are still some things that, from a long-term economic standpoint, can be some risks. Right, we're still in an inverted yield curve. Right. The nice thing about what Lauren has talked about, when the interest rates start to drop, because we've expanded our investments out to 3 years, it will be a few years before we actually see the impact of that drop, other than in the LGIP. The LGIP will follow those rate cuts pretty quickly. But the 51 million, because we've spread those out and diversified, we will be able to see those higher returns through that investment period. So we're in good shape. It was a very strategic move to invest when we did, and you don't play the market, but we hit the market at a good time.
Yeah.
When we made the move to move to PFM and invest and diversify that out of just the LGIP.
I agree. It certainly looks that way. Any questions at all?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. Good report. And I appreciate you coming in quarterly. I know that might be somewhat redundant, but it's good to hear. Good news.
Yes.
Moving on to Love Inc., please.
I don't want my own microphone.
Hello, I'm Rosetta Wangren, and I'm the Executive Director of Love Inc. and have been for 2 years. This is Destiny Schuster. She's the president of our board, and hopefully if I don't have the answers that you want, she has them. Otherwise, we will get back to you with answers. I came to Love Inc. many years ago for 3 years to be their fundraiser. And after 3 years, I was asked to come on the board. After 6 years on the board, we lost the second time we lost an executive director very unexpectedly. So I asked the board if I could step off the board and become the executive director. Love Inc., I have a strong heart for the people in this community, and I care about helping those who can't help themselves and help them then reach out to resources that many of them don't know about. And so we not only help with items that they may need, but we also help with referring to other agencies and other resources in the community. What I've given you here today is I gave you my business card so that if you want to call me and talk to me about anything, I recommend you use my cell phone. Most of the time I have it with me. Today I left it at home, unfortunately. But I take phone calls all the time from people who have questions about Love Inc. And I'm happy to do that. Also what I have, and that has our address. So if any of you have donations you want to make, we will take them there too. The other item, this is a paper listing of the services that we provide to the clients in the community right now. We keep adding to this a little at a time. Clothing is on site is for adult men and women. And then since I came on board, we started an infant closet. So we take clothing now for newborns up to 2T. The Foursquare Church is our other site for our children's clothing up through high school, and we coordinate that with them. All donations are given to either us on site or given to the Foursquare Church, and they coordinate and organize that. We have been blessed with a huge amount of donations, just in abundance. And so when we have excess, we also share those with Ray of Hope, because Ray of Hope in the community is a resource with very low prices. So we do that with all items, household, clothing, etc. We just opened also about a year ago household items that are stored and organized at the United Methodist Church, and they've given us a room that has an external entry so clients don't have to go through the church, helping with maybe their discomfort if they don't want to go through. And we schedule time with those clients, take them over. We have mainly basic towels, sheets, blankets, housewares, pots and pans, etc. And then we have just started accepting baby furniture within parameters. We do not accept used car seats because we believe that those are just too dangerous. So money that is given to us through the Early Learning Hub, we have used money now to just buy some new car seats. And on that note, I'm just really proud that two of our volunteers, well, excuse me, one volunteer and our only paid staff, Leslie Chavez, they went to installation training for car seats, and they will show people how to properly install the car seat, but also properly how to install the child. Not North Marion County, but Marion County has the highest incident of injuries in the state of Oregon on children that are in car seats or not in car seats but are hurt in some kind of fender bender or accident. So that is really important. Now we do not give a car seat unless we show them how to install it so they can install it themselves. If you look at the bottom of this, you'll see that we not only have household items, utility assistance. That is the water contracts we have with the city of Woodburn. After I came on board, I made contact with Hubbard and Jervis, and we now have the same contracts with them, so that if people have a shut-off notice, they come in and we are able to help them with that water shut-off. We can only help them once, up to a certain dollar figure. I can't say the dollar figure because it's different between Hubbard, Jervis, and Woodburn, but once within a 12-month period. And we have a computer tracking system that tracks them, and we can go in and see what we've helped them with, when we last helped them, etc. We are also the contact for the dental van, and we track and make all appointments for anybody who wants services with the dental van. The dental van won't necessarily do cleanings, therefore while they were able to do hygiene, but they will do extractions, they will do fillings. We are organizing so that in June, on site at the United Methodist Church where the dental van will be. We will also have some other entities from our community, nurses to take and do A1C diabetic tests, some other agencies who want to be there to present about their resources, their services they provide. We do suicide prevention training free. That is something that we got a grant from Salem Health. There's now 3 of us that are English only and 1 English Spanish that are trained in this. And we will go out to any school, community activity and do the training free. It's only about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And it is a gateway for people that you maybe have as friends or you have interaction with at work or whatever. When you see signs of that, it gives you the skills to hopefully get them into a resource to prevent them from doing any harm. In this little flyer, which we don't just give to everybody, so because they're kind of spendy, and so you can see on the front that these are the service areas at the top. We service all of North Marion County, so from Brooks to the Clackamas line. And then in here, it talks to you about our services. We are a nonprofit. We are faith-based, so therefore you get love in the name of Christ of North Marion County. We do not force religion on anybody. We may ask, the other day I asked a lady if I could pray for her because of her situation, and she said no. I said, okay. And I thought, I'm going to pray for you anyway. You just don't need to know. I'm incorrigible. Those who know me know that. Some of the things that I'm most proud of since I started is we just got our case management services going. So we are now, every client that comes in the door that is not water shut-off based, we do case management with them. We sit down, I'm not breaking confidentiality because I'm not going to use her name, but a woman who has severe kidney issues, it was experiencing domestic violence. Husband left, but he had all the money. She was in a bad place. And between us and another service integration team, and community resources, we were able to help her connect with PGE with the lower payment, and then connect with PGE based on the fact that she has a health issue. So when she has her antibiotics, she has to keep them refrigerated. She didn't know anything about this. All she knew about was equal pay. We're now working with her on her gas bill the same way. That's the kind of things that people who, and she does have a part-time job, because of her health, she can't work full-time, but she's working to take care of herself. And we paired her up with domestic violence. Hope and Safety was also in the Family Resource Center. I think you'll be hearing from them at another time. But we partner with people to accomplish the very most we can for these people. And a little bit of my background, I was a case manager for years, and we used to do partnership with Department of Human Services. That wasn't anything that people normally did. The other thing is that I have been a manager of statewide programs, and I learned quickly partnerships and commitment and that relationship to be able to strengthen what you're doing is so important. I would just like to share with you a couple of things because the Family Resource Center is going to be the phone system for the Family Resource Center. So Love Inc. is going to be get this right. Make sure did I say it?
Well, you're getting there. You're almost there.
The Family Resource Center doesn't have a phone line that is a central phone line. So we are now, with the city's help, becoming a centralized phone number for the Family Resource Center. And I really hope that we can grow that into a much stronger process and a much stronger partnership. We are getting our receptionists trained, and it's exciting to see that happening.
So Rosetta, if I can expand on that, so you will be the center for the the whole resource center, someone will call in and you will give people advice on which resource to go to within the Family Resource Center?
Exactly.
Receptionist,
Or
yeah.
if they call and say, okay, I've heard of this Hope and Safety, can you tell me what they do?
Yeah,
And our receptionist is being trained by all of them to be able to do
Excellent.
that.
good.
And then, in addition, I hope that eventually we can mail out applications to people, because a lot of people are still doing things by paper.
Sure.
Or we can direct them to the email site or the website that supporting people as they're going through very difficult times. We had a Portland State University student come to us a few months ago, and she was taking a grant writing class. So Nancy, who is the treasurer on our board and is, wherever you see me, you usually see Nancy. We sat down with her and helped her with information from Love Inc. She wrote a very successful grant. We are going to get money now from Salem Health to buy hygiene products, toilet paper, paper towels, hand soap, toothpaste, toothbrushes. And then also, about 2 weeks ago, Willamette Health came to us and they had $60,000 for us to use with our service integration team, which is called Woodburn Task Force. All the money goes to the task force. It can be used to help buy tires, batteries, pay their rent, keep their lights on. Just, we always try and find that other resource first, and then we use this money. But that was a blessing. And I just want to say that I am very pleased to be able to be at Love Inc. And it has been so rewarding for me. Best job I've ever had, and I don't get paid. Do you have questions? Oh, one thing I forgot to tell you, I apologize. We had over 1,000 households last year in 2023, over 4,000 people served.
So that includes drop-ins and people that came in looking for clothing and everything? You can,
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a huge number.
And it continues to grow.
Yeah. Comments, questions?
Well, thank you. You know, COVID, we almost had to close our doors. And now the churches, their growth is, and so they're coming back and helping us too. That's wonderful.
I admire the relationships you've built in Woodburn, the ministerial associations and PGE and Salem Health. Yeah, that's great partnerships.
Thank you.
And the city of Woodburn, you've done very well.
So I have one question. What are your greatest needs at this point, either in terms of donation items or human resources, possible volunteers or board members or anything of that
Well,
nature?
the big number of volunteers is we have over 60 volunteers when you count the ones that volunteer for the golf tournament, which is happening this coming Thursday. The mayor is going to be there to speak. We also, what we need is Spanish-speaking volunteers. A little side, Alita Cifuentes got me on the Park and Rec Board for 16 years. So now I'm talking to her about becoming a volunteer at Love Inc.
Great, great.
Rope her in.
She'll do it.
But other than that, if we can't use it, if you donate to us and we can't use it, such as durable medical equipment, I reach out to French Prairie and say, do you have people that might need this? Walkers, etc. If we have extra large clothing, which a lot of our clients are not very big, I call them and say, how are you doing? We always find some place for it.
And I would say we are looking for one or two more good board members too.
Thank you. Yes, I did talk to Mark a little bit about that. Hint, hint,
Okay.
Mark.
How
Sure.
long has Love Inc. been part of Woodburn?
We got our nonprofit status in 2009,
Okay.
and we were over on Young Street, very small space. Then we moved to Hardcastle, and we're there until 2020, I think.
2019, because we moved in just before COVID, didn't we?
Well,
Or was
COVID was
it-
in 20, so I think we moved.
True. January 2020, we moved in and COVID hit March.
Yeah. And the thing is, I have to say, I'm very proud. My husband was one of the members of the original board, helped to found Love Inc. And it was not an easy process because of trying to look at what we needed to do in Woodburn.
Sure.
So,
Now, I was aware of some of the issues that you faced, especially, during COVID. And, I was right there hoping that, everything would turn out, which it did. And I'm so pleased that you're there, Rosetta, and congratulations for giving. All of us here, we don't get paid either, but we, it's in our hearts. We want to do the right thing, which you're doing. Really appreciate all your service.
Anything else? Thank you both so much for coming and sharing.
Thank you. Having the city's support means an awful lot to us. Thank you all, too.
Thank you.
Glad to help. Moving on, I do not have any communications. Next up is business from the public. This allows the public to introduce items for the council consideration not already scheduled on the agenda. If anyone likes to come up and speak, I'd ask that it's limited to 3 minutes. Does anyone from the public like to come up that we haven't heard? Nope. Then moving on, we have a consent agenda. Items listed on the consent agenda are considered routine and may be adopted by one motion. Any item may be removed for discussion at the request of a council member. So could I have the city recorder please read what we have on the consent agenda calendar, please?
The items on the consent agenda are as follows. Woodburn City Council minutes of April 22nd, 2024. Acceptance of easements and right-of-way at the Marion Point project. Building activity for April 2024. Liquor license application for K. Braun Brewing Company, Woodburn, Oregon, and liquor license application for Maiden, Oregon.
Maiden, Oregon. You didn't see that come in. Any questions, anything anyone would like to pull off the consent agenda? And I would entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed with the same. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on, I do not have any table business. We do not have a public hearing tonight. Next up is Council Bill number 3252.
Council Bill number 3252, a resolution accepting emergency access rights to certain Oregon Golf Association watercourse and storm drainage facilities.
Thank you. Council Bill 3252 has been duly introduced and is a resolution, and as such requires one reading. And may we please have that reading by title only if there's no objections.
Council Bill number 3252, a resolution accepting emergency access rights to certain Oregon Golf Association watercourse and storm drainage facilities.
Thank you. Do we have anything to report from staff? No?
I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about the acceptance of this emergency access rights, but essentially this is related to the Marion Point subdivision and certain drainage facilities that are located adjacent to where the subdivision is going to be, but on the OGA property. And there were two easements in particular that were negotiated between the developer and OGA a number of years ago, and it was to grant the city a much greater breadth of construction, maintenance, and operation rights. And actually all the city really needs to acquire in this circumstance is emergency access rights. So this resolution just documents that.
Any concerns, complaints from neighbors or anything that this would affect?
No, I don't believe so. We haven't received
heard
anything.
Okay. Any questions? Then may we please have a roll call vote on this?
Councillor Cornwell?
Yes.
Councillor Cantu?
Yes.
Councillor Wilk?
Yes.
Councillor Cabrales?
Yes.
Councillor Schaub?
Yes.
Council Bill 3252 has been duly passed. Thank you. Next up, we have safe routes to schools. And we do have a staff report. Thank you for being here tonight on your birthday.
Yes. Thank you for the wishes. Renata Wakely, Special Projects Director.
And Curtis Stoltz, Public Works Director.
And Heather's going to help with just a few slides. What we're asking for this evening is acceptance of the Safe Routes to Schools contract. This is related to, in response to a fatality December 2022 near Front Street at the high school. Within days, the city reached out to the school district, but also ODOT, to come up with some solutions for some safety concerns that we'd heard from families through the school district. The city is an eligible applicant for this program, so we reached out to ODOT. The area is constrained, as you all likely know, in that we have Highway 214 that fronts on the high school. That's an ODOT facility. City doesn't have jurisdiction, can't make improvements there. And while Front Street is a city street, the part of Front Street that crosses over 214 is controlled by ODOT, and it's weight constrained. The city has, for a number of years, expressed interest in making some improvements, sidewalks on Front Street, and ODOT has said it's impossible. So although we're a year past the incident, we have had numerous meetings with the school district. The superintendent at the time reached out to families and was collecting feedback on concerns. We worked with the safety coordinator at the school district. We provided education resources through ODOT Rail. The Safe Routes to Schools program, they really see it as construction improvements, but also education. So we tried to kind of get the resources out there that we could. The diagram here is something ODOT had put together, but I thought it did a good job of kind of addressing some of the priorities and concerns that we were hearing from the students and the school district. Crossing 214 at Park Avenue, there is a improved or enhanced crossing. It's well used, and folks seem really happy with that. But once students or other pedestrians are crossing 214 to the north and then heading toward the school, heading westward toward the school, we have students that are unfortunately cutting across the rail line. We identified number 2 there, which is extending some fencing eastward to discourage that. The school district does not want to fence the entire area and control them. They don't want this institutional kind of look. Those are their words. But we really need to kind of create these or encourage these safe pathways. So that should be part of this project or award. Once crossing under the Front Street, kind of under the bridge, you'll see the blue lines northward. Students are using what's called a goat path. It's the easiest way to get to the property. And the school's not interested. This is an ODOT controlled, that teardrop is the language, and also owned and under ODOT's jurisdiction. The school doesn't want that entire area fenced off. Also, there's maintenance needed there. So they weren't interested in that, but they want to see some improvements. So that was a big discussion item. Once they travel northward through the teardrop, the crosswalk there, some improvements can be made. So lighting will be part of this funding application. ADA ramps on each side, which currently I think there's only a ramp, and it's an older kind of ramp on the north side of that. There is slope, it's significant, and so ODOT did some preliminary engineering on that. They believe it can be installed there. So we'll have ADA ramps and sidewalk curb cuts on each side. In addition, in a next slide I'll show in a second, we'll install an island there. So the crossing itself, the school district has committed to providing some additional property or easement to the north to widen that crosswalk. And that seems counterintuitive if you're talking safety improvements, why widen? But by widening it, and the school district's committed to the dedication of the right-of-way on their property, you can accommodate room for an island, and visibility for pedestrians and vehicles actually improves. So that's kind of their participation in this project. Lighting, ramps, and the island, and kind of marked crossings. We also have, and I'll kind of point you to number 3, here is the Front Street. I have photo of existing conditions. And so we went back and forth, with ODOT, and Public Works has been fantastic in providing feedback on what they can do and maintain and what some options are. And so ODOT proposed striping Front Street, moving the vehicle traffic eastward on that overpass, and installing a painted sidewalk. Again, weight constrained, so we can't do curbs or sidewalks. They won't allow it. So how do you create that visibility and separation from pedestrians and vehicles? And so I will go to the next slide. So here you have existing conditions in the top left. This is Front Street looking northward. So the travel lanes will move eastward, so vehicle traffic. And the picture right below is from Albany, but it's what ODOT is using as an example. Of course, more bollards would be put there for kind of that separation. Here's some other photos of other facilities in Oregon, how that's done. Whether we can do plastic curbing, paint the area a different lane, it's all to be determined. We still, with this funding that we're getting from them, we still have to do final engineering. But do you have comments on?
No, just the fact that it's a weight constraint on that bridge system itself, so they wouldn't allow us to expand it. They're also going to look at raising the handrail or the guardrail on that as well, because it doesn't meet the current code. So they're going to be able to extend the guardrail up so that it's not someone can fall off of it as easily, I guess, in that sense. So anyway, that's the hopes is that the striping and then the cones will give them a sense of security and give it a visual break between the traffic and that.
So no final determinations. The city will be contracting. We have an final engineering budget, so that will all be worked out with ODOT. Obviously, we want as many improvements as we can get, but we've got some significant constraints on that. And
Okay.
one more slide.
Good.
And so this is ODOT spent quite a bit of time. While the city and ODOT and the school want to see safety improvements made, the reality is we also have lots of users of this facility, including trucks accessing 214. So ODOT spent a couple months, and we appreciate that they sent their engineers to do this for turn radius issues, protecting the ability of our other property owners to continue to access 214. We have some long haul trucks or the turning radiuses were a concern. And so this is a diagram from ODOT in the bottom left. And this island picture is actually outside the Safeway. You've probably seen it if you've been to the Safeway. So it's something like that that we will see for the students and other users to start crossing to the north, have a pedestrian refuge, take a break, make sure that they're being seen before the crossing. Education's still a big piece of this for students. We know they want to get to school quickly and in an efficient manner, and we're just trying to create those pathways for them.
Yeah, and the goat path that Renata talked about is going to be in phase 2, so there wasn't enough money and funding in order to make that happen. So we're just working on the improvements on Front Street. The other part of it too is that we're also going to, the path to the high school is going to kind of go through the grass there. Kids want to take the shortest path, least path of resistance. So instead of funneling them all the way down to Bulldog Avenue, we're going to try and make it so that they can cut across right through that area. So that'll hopefully make that easier. And again, the big thing that we had a problem with was the truck traffic. We do have a development going on Commerce Way. There's a new development there. Plus we have Wilbur Ellis, who has large tractor trailer trucks, and then of course Kerr Construction, which is on their side, and not to mention the garbage trucks that are coming in and out. So
we were limited in the Safe Routes to Schools funding and how much they had available to us, and after ODOT had done some preliminary engineering, they also have a match requirement. The school district is not contributing financially to this besides dedication of right-of-way or easement and the improvements on their property, but the city is committing $100,000, which is a significant amount. We're receiving $1.1 million from ODOT, so they had to find money elsewhere. It's a significant project. We are not able to get everything done. That we spoke with the school district, heard from them and from ODOT, but ODOT has committed to say just by accessing the Safe Routes to Schools program, rapid response does not preclude us from submitting for other applications. They're supportive of seeing that phase 2 goat path, a safe trail there. It's just not included in this project right now.
How much more is needed to finish phase 2?
It's sloped. We did not receive, because we knew that we were not going to fund the entire project. I don't believe I've heard an estimate from ODOT on what that would cost. But you have to, I think it's mentioned in here, the trail to meet ADA will have to zig in that area just to meet slope considerations, and we'll continue to work with the school district on what they want, the high school, on what they want to see there. But yeah, to get an improvement, a couple zigs, and then tying into that ramp on the corner that we will get installed as part of this project.
What's the time frame on this phase?
Yeah, I mean, we have 5 years. I mean, it's been a year, just working to this point to get the funding secured. It had to go to the Bicycle PDED, which is a committee which, makes recommendations. So these things just took time. It's in this next fiscal year's budget. But design, we will be contracting out for design. We have the money, we control that contract. I'll let you speak to timeline.
Yeah, but then again, when we're dealing with ODOT and all the humps and the hoops that they have to jump through in order to have everyone look at it, we're hoping that we can have something by next spring. So I think that's our hope. But
Okay. Good luck.
yeah,
There's
good luck.
they required us, there's environmental, this is ODOT money, so we have to do some environmental assessments in the area. But we understand that the improvements are needed as quickly as possible, but we're working with strict funds, I guess, is the word I use.
We'll move as fast as we can on our end and let them be the ones telling us what those holdups are on their end. So.
Sure. Questions?
No?
Has speed been an issue on that street?
I don't think speed has necessarily been an issue. We haven't heard any issues as far as speed, especially during the school hours, the times when the kids are going to school. So,
I'm just thinking for that curve.
oh, for the curve.
Yeah.
Going coming and then going down that curve. Just wondering maybe if eventually, if in the plan, it could be like the one that tells you your speed, how fast you're going.
Sure.
But that's, if it's not an issue.
Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at it because we always do traffic counts and those things when we start seeing those issues to try and work with the police department as well. So we'll definitely look at that.
The lighting, I think, was what surprised me a little bit. Students are accessing the proper, events at night.
Yeah.
And so the fact that we will be able to get light fixtures on both ends, there's not sufficient lighting now. And so they were very pleased to see that.
Yeah. And the other part of it is educating the students too, to let them know that we're trying to create an avenue to keep them safe. And just because they can cut 30 seconds off of their trip to and from school, that they need to be thinking beyond that. It's just take the safe route so that you're safe.
So I've sat in on a lot of different meetings with ODOT regarding Marion County and Polk County and realize how difficult money is with them getting anything. I mean, potholes on 214. Yeah. So I really applaud you both going after. I mean, for $100,000 that the city is putting up with that kind of return and better safety standards, it's well worth it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we got the funds the way that we did because there was a death. But I mean, otherwise, you're right. It would be very hard to get ODOT to be engaging in a conversation to do safety improvements when something like this hadn't happened.
Impossible to do. Yeah. Really, so. Anything else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
So I would entertain a motion.
Move to accept this Safe Routes to School Grant Award from the Oregon Department of Transportation and authorize the city administrator to effectuate an award of the grant contract.
A second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed with the same? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on, we have one item under Planning Commission. If council wishes to discuss it, call it up. No. Then moving on to our city administrator's report. And Scott's absenteeism. Mr. Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple things to report. You may remember at a meeting just over a month ago, the council authorized the mayor to submit a letter of support for a grant application that we submitted for an energy efficiency block grant to fund 5 to 6 EV charging stations at public lots downtown and at city parks. And it was that program was rolled out on a first come first served basis. Renata got the application materials prepared really quickly and submitted. And Woodburn, we were awarded the full $100,000 request that we made.
Wow.
We were the first community in Oregon to receive an award. So that was
Thank you,
Thanks,
Renata.
Renata. Yeah.
Happy birthday to you.
Yes.
Happy birthday to us. Yeah.
And then I just want to let you know that we're working hard to schedule meetings throughout the community to provide information about the community center project. You know, we're roughly 6 months out from the election, and things are really starting to ramp up now. So Jesse's been working really diligently with local groups to get us on their schedules to provide an overview of the project. Tomorrow we're going to the Woodburn School Board during their work session. We've got a coffee hour presentation that follows the mayor's State of the City version 2, directly provided to the Estates Coffee Hour. So that'll be coming up, I think, early June. We're hitting a lot of service clubs as well. So we're really taking the show on the road and doing the work that the city is able to do, which, you know, as you'll remember, is really kind of more informational, especially once the council refers this measure to the ballot in late July. Then we'll really be restricted about the activities that we can participate in. They need to be content neutral, just informational, no advocacy. And so I'm also happy to kind of report that there is a lot of momentum now around the creation of a political action committee that can actually do that grassroots advocacy effort. And that's going to be really critical for this measure to succeed. Just today, we received, you know, some of the materials we're producing. This is the English version of a big poster. We have a number of these produced. The Spanish version is kind of right behind me here. So we're going to be posting both of these, English and Spanish, in places like the Aquatic Center, City Hall, the library, some of our, you know, primary public facilities. We're also going to distribute those to other organizations in the community that are willing to put that up too. We've got other table topper cards that we're going to try to distribute to local restaurants and other businesses so that people can read a little bit about it, scan a QR code to go to our website to get more information about the project. So things are kind of really starting to ramp up now, and you'll continue to see more and more of that.
Jim, I thank you for your efforts on that, and the rest of the city staff for being involved in this. It's not an easy thing to do your normal job during the course of the day, and then on top of that, have this little project that we got going in the background. But working with them, I am very impressed with their level of knowledge and commitment to this project. And like Jim said, it's just beginning. And I challenge the council to also be part of this. And if you had opportunities to talk to a group or recruit, you know, someone from the city or myself, please don't hesitate. Getting the word out in education from here on is huge. So, thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Nope, that's all I had, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Business from the council. Councilor Cornwall? No. Councilor Cabrales? No. Councilor Schaub?
No.
Wow. Councilor Cantu, you must have something.
Okay.
Good.
We had the chambers state of the city here in this room, and it seemed very like a packed house. It was overflowing out into the hallway, and you did a great job, Mayor. Just giving updates on the city and where everything's at. So thank you for that.
Thank you. City is in good shape. Yeah. It's good to talk about good things.
Yes.
So yeah, that was good. Thank you. Councilor Welk?
And if anyone missed the State of the City address, it is on our city website for viewing at any time. So I just want to give a shout out to all the city staff for for their dedication and really persistence in problem solving on the issue with the Front Street overpass, with the EV charging station. And then on a more personal note, Friday, I had workmen over at my house installing new gutters. And one dropped a fascia board that broke a faucet in half with water gushing out. Unable to shut it off myself, I called the Public Works. Of course, it was just after 5 on Friday, so I got voicemail. I then called the police department, and dispatch got someone from Public Works over to my house in a matter of minutes before that whole side of town was flooded and problem solved. So just above and beyond to really take care of a problem. I really appreciate that.
Good. Thank you. That's it? I got a few things. One, I've sent a few emails with information out to the council. I'm going to be spreading that out to different staff members also. Being on the board for Community Action, they're putting out a lot of information. Jimmy Jones is somebody their executive director, I think highly of, and is a very intelligent man. He sent out one that I forwarded, I think this morning or yesterday. He obviously had nothing better to do on Mother's Day than send out a 7-page paper on the history of homelessness. But it really is good stuff, and take it for what it's worth, but it's good history, and I think as we grow with them over the years, it shows their commitment to what they believe in and their capabilities of helping. So I found it real interesting, but also extremely, very informative. A couple other things. We had Cinco de Mayo, and I'd never heard anything from the city. We were part of that, and I know it was a pretty wet weekend. I was there at the opening of it, and it was a pretty good crowd there. But from then on, hopefully they managed pretty well over the weekend. I want to thank the Kiwanis. We had a mayor's pro-breakfast the day before the State of the City, and 2 Kiwanis groups for putting that on. That was a good turnout also. Also thank the council and the city. Since our last meeting, we had a budget committee meeting, and I'm not on the budget committee, but I greatly appreciate those that helped and participated in that. And part of what we had during that meeting was Curtis made a presentation on the roads in Woodburn and areas that we're looking at putting preventative measures for speeding. And I think everyone on the council gets calls or will come across somebody that has a concern about speeding in Woodburn. And I'd like at some point, and I'll leave it up to the city to say when, but at a council meeting, I'd like the council to get it all together on the same page with what statement we can give out to people that call us. And Chief, I'd like you to be part of this presentation to say, who do we call if someone's calling complaining about a car? Is it even feasible to call anybody? I'd like your opinion on what stop measures might help if, as a city, if we want to spend something for a certain area. We're looking at different constraints on road widths and different restrictions that might not ever work. I'd also like to hear from the fire department. I've heard over the years is fire trucks against speed bumps. Maybe they are, maybe they're not, but I'd like to hear it. Just so we are all on the same page going forward. As Woodburn's growing, speed's an issue. Amazon's going to come in. We've got a lot of transportation going on, and so let's at least hear it and do it right. So, like I say, I'll leave that wide open. We don't have another meeting. The first meeting in June could be a busy one, but I'll leave it open to Scott and Jim to figure out what and when. But Curtis, that was a good presentation I thought you gave for the budget committee. Thank you for that. So, with that is all I have. Anyone else? Then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We're out of here.
That was fast.